When the BBC broadcast I Claudius in 1976, it was more than a historical adaptation, it was a revelation. Here was television, traditionally a medium of light entertainment and occasional drama, suddenly presenting a work that demanded the viewer's intellect, patience, and attention to nuance. And at the heart of this achievement were the actors, not just performing, but embodying a classical tradition of stagecraft that rarely survives on TV. It was a production that felt like theatre captured by a lens, where each gesture and pause and whisper carried weight, history, and consequence. The source material, Robert Graves's I Claudius and its sequel Claudius the God, offered more than a timeline of emperors. It was an intimate memoir, a psychological exploration of power, betrayal, and survival within the corridors of the Roman imperial family. Translating this to television in the mid-1970s was a formidable challenge. The story is sprawling, dense, and deeply introspective. In short, the sort of material many would have deemed unsuitable for a small screen audience. Yet the BBC's production team approached the challenge with clarity and ambition. Director Herbert Wise embraced the idea that television could serve as a stage for extraordinary actors. Their solution was not to rely on spectacle, lavish sets or masses of extras or cinematic trickery, but to trust the performers, the text, and the audience. The result was a series that feels, even today, like a live theatrical production preserved on film. Every scene is meticulously framed, every line delivered with precision, every silence charged with meaning. The series casting is a lesson in classical acting brought to the screen. Derek Jacobi as Claudius is a study in subtlety, stage trained with an understanding of timing, cadence, and internalized emotion. He conveys intelligence, wit, and vulnerability without grand gestures. One look, one inflection, one carefully measured pause can communicate more than a scene full of shouting and spectacle. In Claudius, we see an actor using television as a medium for theatre, an intimacy that allows the smallest details to become monumental. Supporting Jacobi, the ensemble is of equally exceptional calibre. Siân Phillips portraying Livia turns ambition and menace into something almost tangible. George Baker as Tiberius, John Hurt as Caligula, and Brian Blessed as Augustus all demonstrate the same command of classical acting techniques. These are performers steeped in theatre traditions, capable of carrying entire scenes on the weight of a glance or the subtle modulation of their voices. It is this level of craftsmanship that sets I Claudius apart from almost every other drama of the era, and indeed from much of what appears on television today. In I Claudius, acting is not decoration, it is the narrative itself. Political manoeuvring, familial betrayal, and historic catastrophe are all conveyed through performance rather than exposition or visual effects. The viewer learns to read intention in the tilt of a head, apprehension in a swallowed word, and cunning in a measured smile. Modern television often substitutes spectacle for subtlety, but here, restraint and classical training create a tension and credibility that feel almost unparalleled. The approach is particularly evident in the portrayal of Caligula. John Hurt's performance is devastating not for physicality or shock, but for the terrifying unpredictability of a mind in power. Hurt conveys menace through tone, inflection, and rhythm. There is no overacting, no indulgence. Every moment is earned, every reaction grounded in the character's psychology. It is rare on television today to encounter such controlled, layered performances where an actor's skill is not only evident but essential to the story. The gravitas of I Claudius is further reinforced by its meticulous adherence to credible source material. Graves's novels were themselves a blend of rigorous historical research and literary imagination, and the BBC adaptation respected this balance. Dialogue often mirrors the cadence of classical rhetoric. Political scheming is presented with clarity and subtlety. Historical events are dramatised without distortion. The production trusts both its material and its audience, treating viewers as intelligent participants rather than passive consumers. This respect for source material distinguishes I Claudius from many contemporary adaptations. Rather than simplifying history into spectacle or melodrama, it embraces complexity, allowing character, psychology, and political nuance to drive the drama. It is a rare instance of television operating at the same level as literary fidelity, once expected only on stage or in prestigious cinema. Perhaps the most remarkable aspect of I Claudius is that it represents a form of acting now almost vanished from television. Classical, stage-informed performance where restraint, timing, vocal control and psychological nuance carry the drama is increasingly rare in a medium dominated by quick cuts, high-concept plots and cinematic excess. Here, however, the actor's mastery transforms the small screen into a theatre, a place where silence, gesture, and inflection tell stories more powerfully than explosions or CGI. For modern audiences, I Claudius may feel almost foreign. The pace is deliberate, the language measured, the tension often understated. Yet for those willing to engage, the rewards are immense. Watching it today, one is reminded of the craft of acting at its highest level, the way classical training can convey emotional truth, and how television, in rare moments, can offer the same intensity as the best stage performances. The impact of I Claudius extends beyond its initial broadcast. It set a benchmark for intelligent, actor-driven drama, demonstrating that television could handle material of complexity and subtlety. Its influence can be traced in subsequent BBC costume dramas and in any production where casting, performance and fidelity to source material are valued above spectacle. Yet even today the series feels singular, a high watermark of classical performance on TV that has few equals. Derek Jacobi himself reflects this ethos. The series demands a performer who can balance intellect with vulnerability, humour with menace and history with humanity. Watching the ensemble navigate Graves's intricate plotting, one gains not only an appreciation for Roman history, but for the rarity of such classical skill applied to television storytelling. In essence, it's theatre captured on film. It is an artifact of a time when television could afford to be patient, subtle, and reverent toward both text and performance. The actors were exceptional, the material authoritative, the execution flawless. Today, when such disciplined stage-informed performances are increasingly uncommon on television, the series stands as a reminder: when talent, credibility, and classical technique converge, the results are unforgettable. Watching it now, we are witnessing more than a story of emperors and intrigue. We are witnessing a form of acting, a form of craft that television rarely allows to flourish. And that, perhaps, is its greatest legacy. So thank you very much for listening. I hope you've enjoyed that. Hit like and subscribe if you feel like it, and I will see you another time with something else. Bye.